Hey everybody, how we doing out there, YouTube? It's been a while. I haven't done a drive time, and I've got plenty of time to drive. We're going to the big city today, so we got some time to talk. And I'm not sure what this is going to be named. I've not got a specific topic, but it's morning time, so this will be a breakfast time, I guess, instead of a lunchtime chat. We got a nice long time in this drive to get it done in. Got a little storm coming in over the mountains, bringing us some much needed snow up there, and even though they said we have enough for the summer as far as water is concerned, but you never have enough, really. Still way below what we need. But had a good chat last night in the Green Dragon. I stepped out after a little while, but I don't know what they continued talking about, but pretty hot and heated topic has repeatedly come up, and some of my own situations recently have kind of got me leaning towards one direction, thinking that OAF Eagle and Mule Team were going back and forth with interjections from other people on the panel about the recent rash of shootings by police officers and shooting innocent civilians who weren't armed. They weren't posing a threat, and they were just flat out shot, executed basically, because the cops are improperly trained. There's a lot of reasons behind it, but then they almost get off. They don't show a lot of remorse. They are not punished. They're put on administrative leave, and that's the last you hear of it seems like. Mule made his opinion on what he was going to do, and OIF was saying, about, hey, that's only a small percentage, and it's not nearly as bad as it could be, and we still got to work with those people to, wake them up. And it's definitely a topic that's concerning, because these are the people that are armed in your community that supposedly hold a special privilege, but actually they hold a lot of responsibility that they're supposed to have, which they've abused. And I brought up a point of mine of, when we invaded Iraq 11 years ago this week, we had Marines kill Iraqis accidentally, and we had a situation where a truck was coming through basically a roadblock. Didn't slow down or anything, so they light the guy up. The whole suicide bomber concern and everything like that. They were defending themselves. And I won't even get into the whole purpose for being there, but just the fact that they were doing what they had to do to protect not only them, because they could have stepped out of the way, but there was people behind them. If they were there, was the purpose of why they were there to begin with, is to protect people that were further down the road from having any unknown vehicles coming down the road or whatever. And they were, just beside themselves for several days after that about that whole situation, because they weren't comfortable with it. They don't want to shoot somebody who's not actually posing a threat, and they wish the communication could have been better, because there was no real way to, communicate with the guy in the truck. You couldn't yell at him. He's just driving, and he didn't understand the, various blocks on the road, and he had a serpentine set up and stuff, and he just barreled right through it, and was nothing in the truck at all. And those guys to this day still feel guilty over that whole situation, that incident. But these cops go out there, they shoot their fellow citizens, and they kind of like, I apologize to the family, but I was doing my job, and that's the part of doing the job, and all this other stuff they throw out there. And this Albuquerque police chief, this New Mexico situation, jumps to the gun and says it was justified. And then I guess just last night, after I got off the Green Dragon, I saw a video. He's recanted. He said he jumped to conclusions. I think. So that's how you're training your officers, is to go out there and jump to conclusions and involve in shooting people who have their hands up and aren't even armed. It's it's training. It's part of it's the quality of individual they're getting, and they're not molding that individual to think and do their job of protect and defend, not assault and infringe. I don't know a better way to put it, because that's what they're doing. And it's on a regular basis all across the country. East Coast, West Coast, it doesn't seem to matter. And a lot of that has to do with the way training's getting funneled down. A lot of law enforcement training now, a lot of law enforcement trainers at the state level go to get trained by the feds, then they come back to their state and train their state's law enforcement, and they're putting the same bad ideas in these people's head. And that's like we talked about yesterday too. A situation that came up with me this week at work. And this is what really got me concerned about where we're going and if it's ever going to turn around. And OIF was the opinion of, yes, this is going to turn around. We can turn this around. It's going to be better days for our children. And I work with a guy who was actually several levels above me in the bureaucracy, I guess you would say, who helped me get a job where I'm at. And we were discussing some issues around basically birth and death certificates, vital records, and it has to do with the protection of vital records and whatnot. And he's like, what about those people, those crazy people who are more dangerous than terrorists? And I started laughing, like, more dangerous than terrorists? What's more dangerous than terrorists? People, what? And he's looking at me, he's like, yeah, the name of them. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think, vital records, what's the link here? They're not terrorists. And I'm like, sovereign citizens? He's like, yeah, those people, they're crazy. They're always wondering about those. And right there, when you've got somebody in a level of government who is more afraid of their fellow citizens whose real purpose is just to protect their freedom, to live free, is more concerned about them than somebody, infringing on rights or taking away rights. That was a strong moment for me, because this is a gentleman who I've known for a decade, I guess. We've done a lot together, kids play together, all this good stuff. And I know he's not completely on board and awake, because he doesn't understand the money and he doesn't understand the two-party paradigm, whole deal. But we've been working on him. Me and a good buddy of mine, especially last election cycle, because he was, Romney can get elected. He's the only shot. It's the only choice we have. Best of two evils, sure. But when he came out and said that about his fellow citizens, it's like, are these people that we're relying on, awakening when things are really bad? I don't think that's going to happen. I think a lot of these people that we look out there and see, and a lot of them are officers within police forces and law enforcement, and we see them as fence straddlers, kind of respectable people who are on the fence. But with the statement that he made, basically protecting, their instinct is always, it seems like it's always going to be to protect the state, not protect freedom or their fellow citizens. Their instinct is to protect what the state, the power structure. And that's the way they've been indoctrinated. And they're going to bring a lot of people with them, because they're in leadership positions. So they're going to bring a lot of the underlying younger people that work for them or with them. They're going to bring them along in the same strain. And that's how you get groupthink in 1984 and everything else. So OIF and Mule, to kind of interject some comments into what you guys were talking about last night, I think that's would be my 10 cents on that. I don't think we're going to get a lot of the support that we're relying on of these well-educated, well-off, upper middle class, in particular types, they will default not to freedom and liberty or to the purpose of our existence, but they will default to protecting the state and protecting their own little nest, I guess you'd say. I mean,